Hi boys and girls, it's Mrs. Smith, and the purpose of today's video is to review how we multiply decimals. So decimal computation, multiplication of decimals, okay? So the first thing I want to draw your attention to is an anchor chart. Now this should be familiar to you because I used it in class when we were studying. But here is an anchor chart about multiplying decimals, okay? So we have a model here. We have 3 columns of 10 shaded in, 3/10, and we have 4 rows of 10 shaded in, 4/10. And where they overlap right here is where we get our answer, 12/100ths, okay? Now you might be wondering, how is that possible? If you're multiplying 3/10 times 4/10 and you're getting 12/10, 12/100ths is definitely smaller than a tenth. But remember, boys and girls, when we are multiplying with numbers less than 1, our numbers get smaller, okay? So how do we solve this? How do we solve any kind of multiplication of decimal problem? Well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to rewrite the problem by ignoring the decimals and multiply as usual. So we're going to take the decimals out and then we're going to multiply as usual. So 3 times 4 equals 12. Then it says count the total number of digits to the right of the decimal in the problem. So there was 1 digit to the right in the first factor and 1 digit to the right in the second factor for a total of 2 digits. And then it says place the decimal in the answer so that there are the same number of digits to the right of the decimal as there was in the problem. So I had 2 digits behind the decimal in both my factors. So I'm going to move the decimal to the left 2 places to match that amount. Okay, so we're going to practice with some multiplying of decimals. I'm going to model a problem and then I'm going to give you a problem just like it. And then I'll do that a couple of times and then I have some practice for you to do on your own. And then you'll email it to me and I'll give you feedback. Okay, so we're going to start off easy. We're going to start off with a simple problem like 0 and 9/10 times 0 and 7/10. Okay, so here's my problem. Feel free to write on a piece of paper and follow along with me. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite the problem without the decimals. So I'm going to take the decimal out and it's going to be 9. I'm going to take the decimal out and it's going to be 7 and I'm going to multiply them out. Now 9 times 7 is a simple basic multiplication problem. So 9 times 7 is 63. So I'm going to put 63. Now that would be great if my original problem was 9 wholes times 7 wholes, but it's actually 9/10 times 7/10. So it has to be smaller than a whole number. So I count the number of digits to the right of my first factor, that's 1. I count the digits to the right of my second factor, that's 1. And so I have to move my decimal to the left, a total of these two numbers, a sum of 2. So I'm going to put my pencil at the end of my number because that's where my decimal is right now. And I'm going to move it over 1, 2 spaces. And so my answer is going to be 63/100ths. 63/100ths. Okay, so here is a problem that I'd like for you to try. Okay, let's go ahead and do 0 and 6/10 times 0 and 4/10. Go ahead and pause your video and solve this problem. All right, boys and girls, so how did you solve this problem? Check yourself along with me. All right, so I'm going to rewrite my problem without any decimals. So I'm going to cover up my 0 and my decimal point, and my first factor is 6. Cover up my 0 and decimal point, my second factor is 4. So I'm going to multiply 6 times 4. 6 times 4 is 24. Okay, step 2, after I've multiplied, is to count the digits behind the decimal in both my factors. So I count 1, 2. So that means I need to move my decimal point 2 spaces to the left to mimic how many decimals or digits behind the decimal I had in my factor. So you should have gotten a product of 24 hundredths. All right, boys and girls, we're going to make it a little bit harder. We're going to step it up a notch. And this time I'm going to give you a problem with a whole number and fractions in the tenths or hundredths. So problem number 3, let's go ahead and make it 76 and 4/10 times, let's do times 5/10. Okay, so now it's a little bit more tricky, okay? Now, there are 2 strategies for multiplying numbers, and the first strategy is area model. All right? And those of you know what your superpower is for multiplication. And the second way is algorithm, or the way that your parents probably know how to do, okay? I'm going to do a variation of both, but again, remember, I don't care which road you take as long as you get to the correct destination or correct answer. So for this problem, I'm going to rewrite it as a whole number problem, which is 764 times 5. And I'm going to go ahead and solve this area model. You can solve it traditionally with the algorithm if you wish, but I'm going to go ahead and show it with the area model for this problem. So area model is where I take the 7, the 6, and the 4, and I divide it up by its value. So 700 plus 60 plus 4 equals 764. And I'm going to multiply that by 5. So I'm going to go ahead and make my area model box. And I'm going to go ahead and multiply my partial products to get my full answer. So 5 times 7 is 35, but it's 700, so I have to add my 2 zeros. 5 times 6 is 30, but it's 60, so I have to add my 0. And 5 times 4 is 20. So now I'm going to take these 3 partial products and put them together to get one answer. So 3,500 plus 300 plus 20. I'm going to add those up. 0 plus 0, 0, 0, 2. 5 plus 3 is 8. And 3 plus nothing is nothing. 3 plus nothing is 3. So my product is 3820. But here's the deal, boys and girls. I removed the decimals, so now I have to pop it back in. So I look to the right of the decimal in my first factor, and there's 1. I look to the right of my second factor, there's 1. So I have 2 numbers behind my decimal in both my factors, so I have to move my decimal over 2 spaces. And so the true answer that you should have gotten, following along with me, is 38 and 20 hundredths. All right, boys and girls, I'm going to give you one just like this one, and I want you to go ahead and solve it once I'm done writing it, and then I will go over it. All right, so this was number 4, okay, number 4. And so your problem is going to be 5 and 93 hundredths times 6 tenths. All right, go ahead and pause this video, boys and girls, and then hit play to watch how to solve it. All right, boys and girls, what you should have done is made 5 and 93 hundredths, take the decimal out and make it 593. Take the decimal away from 6/10 times 6. Now, you chose to solve it either area model or algorithm. This time I'm going to do algorithm, but again, remember, you should end up with the same answer. 3 times 6 is 18. Regroup the 1. 6 times 9 is 54, plus 1 is 55. Regroup the 1. 6 times 5 is 30, plus 1 is 31. So the answer I got was 3,158. But now I need to go ahead and take a look at my original problem and count the digits behind the decimal. 1, 2, 3 in both my factors. So I need to move my decimal over 1, 2, 3. So my answer is 3 and 158 thousandths. All right, we're going to step it up a notch now, boys and girls. We're going to, instead of having a single digit factor, we're going to have a double digit factor. So problem number 5 that I'm going to model for you is going to look something like this. 3 and 27 hundredths times let's go ahead and do 4 and 8/10. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is rewrite it as a whole number problem. So 327 times 48. All right, I'm going to go ahead and solve this with area model, just because I know that the majority of our friends watching, that's what they do. So I'm going to take 327 and separate it by its values. 300 plus 20 plus 7. And then I'm going to separate 48 into its values of 40 plus 8. And then I'm going to create my box. I have 3 columns and 2 rows. All right, 4 times 3 is 12 with 3 zeros, so that's 12,000. 4 times 20, 4 times 2 is 8 with 2 zeros, so that's 800. 4 times 7 is 28 with a 0, 280. 8 times 300, 8 times 3 is 24 with 2 zeros. 8 times 20, 8 times 2 is 16 with the 0 at the end. And 8 times 7 is 56. All right, so now I'm going to put these together. Let's see here. Sometimes I like to add across my row, or sometimes I like to add my columns, and then this way I don't have to add up 6 numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and add up these columns, and then I'll put them all together. So 0 plus 0 plus 0, 0, 0, 4 and 0, 2 and 2, and 1. And then 800 plus 160 is 960. And 280 plus 56, 6 plus 0 is 6, 8 plus 5 is 13, 1 plus 2 is 3. All right, so now I'm going to add these 3 partial products together. 14,400 plus 960 plus 336. Add it all together. 6, 9, 7 and 9 is 16. Regroup the 1. 4 plus 1 is 5. And then 1. All right, so I'm going to come over here, and my answer that I got was 15696. Okay, but I have to put my decimal in its spot. So I count the digits to the right, 1, 2 in my first factor, and then I count the digits in my second factor, 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to move my decimal 1, 2, 3 places. So my answer is 15 and 696 thousandths. All right, last problem. This one you're going to do and then check with me. All right, so number 6. Let's see here. Let's do a problem like that. Let's do 65 and 8/10 times 72 hundredths. Okay, go ahead and pause this video and then hit play when you're ready to go over the answer. All right, boys and girls, so let's see. First thing I want to do is convert it to a whole numbered problem by removing the decimals. So this factor, 65 and 8/10 will become 658, and 72 hundredths will become 72, and we're going to multiply that out. All right, so I'm going to solve this algorithm because I want to be fair to all of our watchers. And so I'm going to multiply this out using the algorithm, okay? But the key to the algorithm is to don't forget the 0. All right, so 2 times 8 is 16, regroup the 1. 2 times 5 is 10 plus 1 is 11, regroup the 1. And 2 times 6 is 12 plus 1 is 13. Okay, so what this would be is if you were doing area model, it would be the sum of your bottom row. Okay, so now I'm done multiplying by 2, so I'm going to drop down to 0 because now I'm multiplying by the tens place. And so anything that I multiply by the tens place has to end in a 0. All right, so I'm going to cross out these numbers here because I don't need them anymore, and I'm going to multiply it by 7. 7 times 8 is 56. Regroup the 5. 7 times 5 is 35, plus 5 is 40. Regroup the 4. 7 times 6 is 42, plus 4 is 46. And now I'm going to add up my two sums, or products. 6 plus 0 is 6, 1 plus 6 is 7, 3 plus 0 is 3, 6 plus 1 is 7, and 4 plus 0 is 4. So you got 4, 7, 3, 7, 6. But now I have to place my decimal. So you count the number of spaces or digits behind the decimal and both your factors. So 1, 2, 3. So that means I need to move my decimal over to the left 1, 2, 3 spaces. So the answer to number 6 is 47 and 376 thousandths. And that is multiplying decimals. Thanks for watching, and remember that I gave you a couple of problems, a handful of problems to try on your own just to keep that knowledge fresh. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.